Picture this: you blink awake in a Roman insula, the ancient equivalent of a tenement that's one bad day from collapsing. It's dawn, or maybe it's just the neighbour's rooster screaming like it's auditioning for a sacrifice. Your bed's a straw mattress, prickly as a tax collector's conscience, and it smells like damp wool and last week's regrets. The air's thick with mildew smoke, and the faint whiff of someone's chamber pot that's definitely not yours. You're on the 4th floor, bad news friend, because the higher you go, the poorer you are, and the more likely the ceiling's going to cave in when someone upstairs drops a jug of olive oil. This isn't the Rome of marble statues or golden laurels. Forget Hollywood's gleaming palaces. You're in the gritty underbelly where survival's the only crown you wear. Your room's barely bigger than a modern closet with stone walls that sweat in summer and freeze your bones in winter. No windows, just a sad little hole in the wall, letting in a breeze, a puff of street smoke, and the occasional pigeon with an attitude. Your possessions? A cracked clay, copper tunic that's seen better days, and a wooden comb you're too tired to use. No kitchen cooking's banned because a single spark could turn this whole rickety stack of wood and hope into a citywide bonfire. Fire codes. Yeah, those don't exist yet. You hear everything: a baby wailing down the hall, a couple arguing about who ate the last fig, and the guy next door praying to Jupiter like he's negotiating a loan. The walls are so thin you're basically living in everyone's drama. Outside street vendors are already yelling about fish guts and overpriced bread, their voices clawing through the morning haze. A centurion's barking orders somewhere, probably at some poor soul who's already regretting waking up. You're not even out of bed and your knees creak like a bag of rocks. The good news: you're alive. The bad news: so are the lace in your blanket. Welcome to Rome, where every day's a gamble and you're betting with your life. Get up, because the city's not waiting for you to catch your breath. You've stumbled down the insula's crooked stairs, dodging loose boards and the neighbour's kid who's always sticky for no reason. Your chamber pot's in hand, sloshing with last night's shame, and you're headed for the latrina Rome's answer to a public restroom, if you can call it that. Think less bathroom and more stone bench with holes where strangers bond over bad decisions. The street's already buzzing with vendors hawking figs and fish sauce, their shouts, mixing with the clatter of carts and the stench of open gutters. You clutch your pot tighter, praying you don't trip, and add your own offering to the morning muck. The latrina's a social nightmare. You walk in and it's a long stone slab with holes cut like some grim game board. A trickle of water runs beneath barely enough to sweep away the collective misery. You pick a spot, avoiding eye contact with the guy next to you who's humming like he's at a banquet. Privacy not in Rome. It's a free-for-all with businessmen haggling over grain prices mid-squat, and a retired soldier ranting about his sciatica. The air's heavy with sweat vinegar and the kind of smells that make your eyes water. Then there's the tessorium, the communal sponge on a stick sitting in a bucket of questionable liquid. You're supposed to rinse it, but let's be real, that sponge has stories it'll never tell. You wipe wince and hope the vinegar's doing its job. If you're smart, you brought your own rag. If you're rich, maybe some moss. Most days you're neither. You rinse your hands in a basin that's seen more germs than a gladiator's sandals. No soap, no towels, just a quick splash and a prayer to Fortuna you don't catch something. Stepping out, you're lighter, but not cleaner, and the street's waiting to swallow you whole. The bad news: you've got to do this every day. The good news: you didn't fall into the trough. Small victories, friend. Now go find something to eat before your stomach starts a riot. You've survived the latrina, which deserves a medal Rome hasn't invented yet. Now it's time for breakfast, but don't get your hopes up. This isn't a cosy cafe with oat milk lattes. In Rome, breakfast is less a meal and more a grim necessity to keep you from keeling over before noon. You shuffle to a street corner, dodging a cart that's definitely not stopping for pedestrians. The air smells like smoke sweat and the faint promise of bread. Your stomach's growling, but your coin pouch is lighter than a senator's conscience, so you're sticking to the basics. Your morning feast is panis rusticus, a lump of bread so dense it could double as a doorstop. It's stale, chewy and gritty like someone baked it with half the quarry. You tear into it, your teeth protesting, and wash it down with watered-down wine that tastes like regret and bad decisions. No coffee. Romans don't even know what a bean is. No eggs, no bacon, just you and this sad loaf squatting by a fountain with other bleary-eyed citizens. If you're lucky, you've got a smear of garum, that fermented fish sauce that smells like a shipwreck, but somehow makes the bread bearable. If you're really dreaming, maybe there's an olive or a chunk of hard cheese, but that's a festival day fantasy. A vendor rolls by shouting about hot chickpea fritters, and for a second you feel a spark of hope. Then you remember your coins are staying home today. You bite your bread harder, pretending it's cake, and watch the wealthier folk stroll by with figs and honey. Breakfast isn't about joy, it's about survival. You chew swallow and brace yourself for the workday ahead, knowing those stale crumbs are all you've got to carry you through 7 miles of chaos. Rome doesn't care if you're hungry, it's time to move. The sun's barely up, but Rome's already screaming at you to get moving. Breakfast a fading memory of stale bread, and now it's time to face the workday spoiler alert. It's not a 9 to 5 with coffee breaks. You're no senator lounging in a toga. You're a cog in Rome's sweaty, dusty machine. Maybe you're a labourer hauling bricks a potter shaping endless clay jugs, or if your luck's truly rotten, a sewer worker wading through the city's underbelly. The air's thick with dust and the sharp tang of unwashed bodies, and your sandals more holes than leather offer all the support of a politician's promise. You trudge to the worksite, the foreman's voice cutting through the morning haze like a whip. He's yelling in Latin, waving a stick, and you know being late means a docked day's pay or a bruise to match your mood. Your tools are a joke, a splintery shovel, a basket that's fraying faster than your patience, and maybe a rope that's seen better days. No gloves, no helmets, just you, the sun, and a pile of bricks that need moving before Jupiter takes offence. You're building roads, aqueducts, or some senator's fancy bathhouse, and every step feels like a personal grudge against your spine. One wrong move and you're crushed, fired, or both. In Rome, workplace safety is just not dying before lunch. If you're a craftsman, it's no better. You're churning out pots or tunics, competing with 100 others, who'll undercut your price just to eat. Quality. Doesn't matter if a rich guy doesn't like your face. Women aren't spared either. Spinning wool, selling vegetables, or juggling kids in a market stall all while praying childbirth doesn't claim them. The city hums with labour, but it's a brutal song. By midday you're back screaming, your hands are raw, and the foreman's still barking. The good news? You're not dead yet. The bad news, you've got hours to go, and Rome doesn't care if you're tired. Keep moving or the city'll grind you to dust. You've survived the morning's labour, your muscles aching like they've been arguing with a gladiator. Now you've got to navigate Rome's streets, a chaotic mess that makes a chariot race look tame. Picture it, the sun's high, baking the cobblestones, and the air's a stew of smoke urine and spilled garum. The streets are packed with merchants shouting in 6 languages, stray dogs dodging carts, and kids running wild while pickpockets eye your coin pouch. It's like a marketplace, a sewer and a circus all rolled into one, and you're just trying to get to the next job without losing a sandal. Roman roads are engineering marvels, straight paved and perfect for tripping into an open gutter. Step off the raised footpath and your foot's baptised in a mix of animal waste and last night's wine. Wagons rumble by no speed limits, no mercy. Their drivers treating pedestrians like obstacles in a game they're winning. Daytime bans on heavy carts mean they'll race through at night, so good luck sleeping. You dodge a fishmonger's elbow, sidestep a pile of something you don't want to name, and pray you don't slip on a stray fig. The air's alive with temple incense cooking fires, and the faint rot of a dead rat someone draped with a cloth and called it a day. Then there's the chaos of crowds' brawls erupt over nothing, politicians parade with off-key trumpets, and some noble's pet monkey might just steal your lunch. You're sweaty, dusty, and one wrong move from offending a patrician who'll have you flogged for fun. The street's a gauntlet, and you're no hero, just a pleb trying to buy lentils without getting trampled. Keep your wit sharp, because Rome's streets don't forgive, and you're still miles from home. You're parched, your throat dry as a senator's sense of humour, and the Roman sun's laughing at you. Lucky for you, Rome's got aqueducts, those stone giants funneling water from the hills right into the city's heart. Sounds grand, right? Except you're not some elite with a private fountain. You're elbowing through crowds at a public fountain where the water's fresh but the scene's a mess. Jars clank, kids splash, and someone's washing their feet like it's a public bath. The air smells of wet stone and desperation, and you're just hoping the guy coughing next to you doesn't share more than his opinion on grain prices. Want to clean up, head to the Thermae, Rome's public baths, where everyone from labourers to merchants soaks in the same steamy chaos. You pay your coin and step into a world of tiled pools and loud debates. The water's warm, but it's been through a dozen bodies before you, no soap, no chlorine, just a faint whiff of eucalyptus and human grit. You're sitting shoulder to shoulder with strangers, one guy selling socks, another scraping his ears with a stick. Privacy's a myth, and the water's a gamble, cycling through pools like gossip through a forum. Oh, and those lead pipes. They're quietly dosing you with troublethink anemia or worse, but nobody's figured that out yet. Drinking water's no safer. Fountains are better than street runoff, but contamination's common, so most folks mix their water with wine. Kids, adults doesn't matter. Everyone's got a gentle buzz just to stay hydrated. You fill your jar, splash your face and head back into the heat, feeling less clean than you'd hoped. Rome's water system is a marvel, sure, but for you it's just another roll of the dice in a city that loves to keep you guessing. You're halfway through your day in Rome and your body's already singing a grim tune of aches. Pain isn't just a visitor here, it's your shadow trailing you through every step on these unforgiving cobblestones. Stub your toe, no ice, no painkillers, just a throbbing reminder to watch your step. Get a splinter from that splintery shovel at work. Good luck, because that's how infections start and Rome's not big on coddling. The air's heavy with the scent of sweat and smoke and your back's complaining louder than a forum orator. This is the Empire Friend, where comfort's a myth and every bruise tells a story. If you're a labourer, you're hauling bricks with a hernia that's got its own name by now. A soldier. You're marching 20 miles with blisters bleeding through your sandals and a scorpion sting you're pretending isn't there. Women face their own gauntlet. Childbirth's a roll of the dice with nothing but a midwife's chant to ease the agony. No ergonomic tools, no padded seats, just you and a body that's one misstep from becoming a cautionary tale. Break a bone, wrap it in a rag dirtier than a street gutter, and pray it heals crooked instead of killing you. Surgery picture screaming into a wooden block while someone digs in with a knife. Dentistry. Imagine a blacksmith with a grudge and no anaesthesia. Even the upper crust romanticises this grind. Stoicism's the fad suffer silently, and you're noble. Whimper, and you're weak. Cry over a broken arm, and Rome calls you soft before scribbling poetry about your grit. Pain's not just physical, it's proof of your place in this brutal world. You grit your teeth, keep moving, and hope the gods aren't in a smiting mood. The good news, you're still standing. The bad news, the day's not over and Rome's got more ways to make you hurt. Your foot's swollen from a bad cut you got dodging a cart, or maybe that latrina sponge betrayed you. Either way, you're desperate enough to visit a Roman doctor, which is less about healing and more about surviving the cure. You limp through streets thick with the stench of fish sauce and temple incense, clutching your last coin for a man who's probably also your barber. The clinic is a cramped stall, its walls lined with jars of herbs, crushed beetles, and something that smells like regret. The doctor's toga is stained, his confidence unshaken, and you're already regretting this. Roman medicine's a wild mix of Greek theory and blind guesswork. Feeling off your humours, blood phlegm, yellow bile, black bile are out of whack. Solution: drain something. The doctor grabs leeches or a knife faster than you can say Jupiter help me. Got a cough. He'll bleed your arm. Feeling sad, he'll drain the gloom right out of you. Surgery's worse, you're awake gripping a table while he carves with tools that haven't seen soap. Wine or vinegar might clean the wound, burning like a god's wrath, but infection's still a coin toss. Prescriptions are a gamble, honey and garlic if you're lucky, animal dung or temple ash if you're not. Worst case, he sends you to sleep in a temple, hoping a dream from Asclepius fixes you. If it all goes wrong, the doctor shrugs your family, lights a candle, and the neighbours whisper about omens. You leave bandaged but not better your coin gone, and your faith in healing shakier than an insula's stairs. The good news? You're not dead yet. The bad news, you've still got to eat dinner and Rome's not serving comfort food. The sun's dipping low and your stomach's growling louder than a Colosseum crowd. After a day of dodging pain and doctors, it's time for dinner, or as Romans call it, cena. Don't expect a cosy feast. This is survival, not savouring. You slump at a wobbly wooden table in a corner of your insula, the air heavy with smoke, and the faint rot of street gutters outside. Your bowl holds pulse, a porridge of spelt and lentils that's about as exciting as wet gravel. If you're lucky, a sprig of herb adds flavour. If not, it's just you and the grind of your teeth. Meat's a rare guest, too pricey, unless you've trapped a rat or fished something questionable from the Tiber. Most days it's boiled vegetables or a chunk of hard cheese that fights back when you bite. Garam's your saving grace, that fermented fish sauce that smells like a shipwreck's revenge but makes everything taste like Rome's soul. You drizzle it on, wincing at the stench, and pretend you're dining with senators. No pizza, no pasta, tomatoes and potatoes are centuries away. Wine's watered down because drinking it straight's for barbarians, but the water's dicey enough to make you question your choices. Dessert. Maybe a dried fig if the gods are smiling, but more likely you're fasting for some festival honouring a deity who hates gluttony. You wipe your hands on a shared cloth grimy from 10 other diners, Or just use your tunic and call it clean. Your stomach's full but uneasy, your breath a mix of garlic and despair. The city's still humming outside, drunks' carts, a stray dog barking at nothing. Dinner's done, but Rome's nightlife is waiting, and it's not the relaxing kind. Grab your courage, because the night's got teeth and you're not sleeping yet. You've scraped through dinner, your belly full of pulse and a lingering whiff of garum. The sun's gone and you're craving something to dull the ache of Rome's relentless grind. Good news, you're in the Empire's entertainment capital, where distraction's as common as dust. Bad news, it's less about fun and more about surviving the spectacle. You step into streets buzzing with the scent of oil lamps and the roar of crowds, your sandals crunching on grit and stray figs. Rome's got plans for you, and they're not exactly relaxing. The Colosseum looms like a stone giant, its arches swallowing thousands for free-show state-sponsored bloodbaths to keep you from noticing the Senate's latest tax hike. You're packed in with sweaty strangers cheering as gladiators clash blood soaking the sand. A lion mauls a criminal and the crowd roars louder than a thunderstorm. You clap not sure why, caught in the fever. Too grim. Try the amphitheatre for a play, maybe a tragedy you half understand or a comedy, where someone's defiling Jupiter with a sausage. Subtlety's not Rome's thing. Feeling sporty. The Circus Maximus offers chariot races fast and fatal, with no guardrails and crashes that make the crowd scream like they're betting their last coin. Pick the wrong team and you're fighting your way home. Street performers add to the chaos, fire breathers, acrobats, or a barefoot philosopher yelling about virtue to nobody listening. It's dazzling, brutal and perfectly Roman, a city that weaponizes spectacle to make you forget your crumbling insula. You stumble back ears, wringing wine on your breath and realise you're not refreshed, you're just numb. The night's still young and Rome's justice system's waiting to remind you who's boss. Keep your head down because the law's got no patience for stragglers. You're weaving through Rome's torchlit streets, the Colosseum's cheers fading behind you. You might think keeping your nose clean means the law's on your side, cute thought. But Rome's justice isn't here to protect you. It's a hammer and you're a nail waiting to be flattened. The air's thick with incense and the sour tang of spilled wine, and every shadow hides a vigil part, cop part firefighter, all underpaid and itching for a bribe. You clutch your tunic, hoping you don't look like trouble, because in Rome, trouble's whatever the powerful say it is. If you're a citizen, you've got some rights. Congratulations, you might get a trial before they flog you. Non-citizens expect a fist or a branding iron, no questions asked. Slaves, your property, and if you step out of line, the whole household could pay with their lives just to make a point. Trials are theatre, not fairness. The rich guy brings bribes and witnesses. You bring a shaky voice and a prayer to Jupiter. Cry well, and maybe the magistrate who's probably hungover takes pity. Mess it up and you're done. Punishments are crowd pleasers, thieves get broken hands, liars lose tongues and insulting the emperor. That's a creative death, maybe crucifixion, slow and public to remind everyone who's boss. The vigils patrol, but they're as likely to mug you as help you. Laws are carved in stone, sure, but they serve power, not people. You dodge a drunken brawl, sidestep a politician's parade and keep moving, knowing one wrong word could land you in chains. The gods are watching, and they're not much kinder than the law. Speaking of which, Rome's divine bureaucracy is up next, and it's got more rules than a senator's ego. You've dodged Rome's brutal justice, but don't relax, yet the gods are always watching, and they're pickier than a patrician at a banquet. Religion in Rome isn't a cosy chat with the divine. It's a full-time job wrapped in incense and obligation. You're hurrying through streets where every corner's got a shrine, to door hinges, sewers, even mildew. The air's heavy with sacrificial smoke and the clang of temple bells, and you'd better bow or mutter a prayer, because skipping a ritual's like inviting a plague or a bad harvest. You pause at a small altar, the stone worn smooth by nervous hands, and toss in a pinch of grain, hoping it's enough. There's a god for everything, Cardia for hinges, Cloacina for drains, and you're expected to keep them all happy. Festivals clog the calendar, shutting down markets for bull roasts and processions that smell like blood and wet marble. You join the crowd not out of faith, but fear, because a grumpy deity means drought or worse. Then there's the emperor, practically a god himself. You're burning incense at his altar, singing his praises, and definitely not rolling your eyes during his parade unless you fancy being labelled a traitor. Skip a public offering and you're not just impious, you're suspicious, and Rome loves a witch hunt. It's not about believing, it's about doing it right on time and with a smile. You mutter another prayer, your voice lost in the chant of priests, and head home, the weight of divine expectations heavier than your tunic. The social ladder's next, and it's slicker than a senator's promise. Keep your sandals clean because Rome's watching every step. You've slipped past Rome's gods, but now you're navigating a beast just as unforgiving the social hierarchy. It's a ladder slick with ambition and spiked with daggers, and every step's a test. The streets hum with the clink of coins and the murmur of deals, the air sharp with olive oil and envy. You're a pleb stuck in the middle of Rome's brutal pecking order. Above you, senators strut in purple-striped togas, their landholdings bigger than some provinces. Below, freedmen and slaves scrape by, and one wrong move could send you tumbling to their level, or worse, into the gutter with the guy who insulted Augustus's statue. Climbing up means grovelling to patrons, rich big shots who dangle favours like bait. Each morning you join the Salutatio shuffling into their fancy atrium, praising their toga's weave or their kids' bad poetry. You're begging for a coiner job or a nod to someone higher up, all while dodging the sneers of other clients. Score a favour and you're carrying their litter through the forum, feeling like a mule with a mortgage. Your tunic's got to be spotless. Your words polished and your ambition buried deep, show too much hunger and you're a threat. Gossip's a blade here. One dumb comment at a banquet and your name's poison. A smart marriage might save you, but love's for fools. Rome weds for power, not passion. Every glance judges you from your sandals to your friends. Rise too fast and rivals will trip you. Slip and you're done. You leave the patron's house a coin in hand, but your pride in tatters, the city's eyes boring into you. Night's falling and Rome's streets are about to get meaner than a senator's tax collector. Stay sharp because the dark's got no mercy. The sun's dipped below Rome's rooftops and you're dreaming of rest. But night's no sanctuary here, it's a predator with teeth. You step into alleys where moonlight's your only guide, the air thick with smoke and the sour bite of cheap wine. No streetlights, no oil lamps unless you're rich, just shadows, and the crunch of gravel under your worn sandals. The city's insulae loom like tinderboxes, their wooden frames creaking as if they're plotting to collapse. You clutch your tunic heart pounding because Rome after dark is a thief's playground and a fool's grave. The vigils Rome's night watch are supposed to keep order, but they're overworked, bribbable, and scarcer than a senator's honesty. Thieves and muggers slink through the dark, eyeing you like a stray lamb. A wrong turn and you're face to face with a drunk ex-gladiator who's itching for a fight. Fire's the real terror, though, one-tipped lamp, and your insular's a bonfire. Cooking's banned at night, but hunger doesn't follow laws, and the smell of smoke at midnight means run or burn. The Great Fire of 64 CE started small and you know it. You grip your one good tunic ready to sprint down rickety stairs if the air turns acrid. You dodge a pile of something foul, sidestep a brawl spilling from a tavern, and pray you make it home. The city's alive, but it's out to get you slip and you're robbed, burned, or worse. Sleep's a distant hope, and the noise of Rome's nightlife is already clawing at your ears. Keep moving because the night's got no patience for stragglers. You've dodged thieves and fire, but Rome's night isn't done with you yet. The city doesn't sleep, it prowls loud and restless like a beast that never shuts up. You're headed home, the air heavy with tavern smoke and the tang of spilled wine, your sandals slapping against streets, littered with broken pots and stray bones. Taverns spill light and noise, their doors wide, as drunks belt bad poetry about Mars or some girl they'll never charm. Dice games turn bloody fists fly, and somewhere a noble's slave is settling a grudge with a stick. You skirt the chaos, keeping your head low because Rome's nightlife loves a victim. Your insular's no refuge either. The walls creak like they're gossiping rats, skitter through the dark, and your neighbour's coughing like he's auditioning for a plague. Down the hall, someone's screaming passion murder or both, who knows. Drunken parties echo from the streets, their laughter sharp as broken glass. A procession for some obscure god stomps by drums, pounding priests chanting, and you're cursing Mercury for inventing noise. Sleep's a fantasy, your straw mattress prickly as a tax demand, and the city's hum seeps into your bones. If a senator's mistress is throwing a fit, the whole block knows, and you're stuck listening. You bury your face in a sweaty pillow, praying for silence, but Rome laughs at your hopes. The city's a living thing, and you're just a speck in its roar. Dawn's creeping closer, but you've got one more gauntlet to run before you face another day. Clench your fists and hang on, because Rome's not letting you rest easy. You've clawed your way through one day in Rome, and it feels like you've wrestled a lion in the Colosseum. Your body's a map of aches, blisters from sandals, a back screaming from hauling bricks, and a stomach still grumbling over that pulse you choked down. The air's heavy with the city's breath-smoke sweat and the faint rot of gutters, and your tunic's more dirt than cloth. You're sprawled on your straw mattress, the insula creaking like it's plotting to collapse, while rats scurry and neighbours bicker through paper-thin walls. You've survived public latrines, chariot traffic, and the communal sponge's betrayal, but the scars are real and not just the ones you can see. Every moment was a fight, dodging carts, bowing to gods you barely know, and swallowing garum that smells like a shipwreck's revenge. You navigated streets where a stray fig could end you, worked till your hands bled and clapped, at gladiator gore because everyone else did. The law didn't help. The gods didn't care, and sleep was a myth drowned out by tavern fights and midnight processions. You're filthy tired and maybe a little infected, but you're here breathing, which is more than some can say. Could you do it again? Honestly, you'd trade your last coin for a hot shower and a world with soap. Most of us would crack by noon, begging for Wi-Fi and antibiotics. Yet somehow Romans did this every day. They woke up, faced the grind, and kept the empire's heart pumping. You close your eyes, the city's hum fading to a dull roar, and wonder how they didn't just give up. One day's done, but Rome's not finished with you or with history. Its legacy's waiting to remind you why this madness mattered. You're lying in your insula, the city's chaos finally softening to a distant murmur. Your day in Rome was a brutal slog, cramped apartments, filthy streets, and a life where pain's as common as dust. But here's the kicker. This grimy, relentless city built something eternal. You shift on your lumpy mattress, the air still thick with smoke and regret, and think about what Rome left behind. It wasn't just emperors or marble, it was sweat, grit, and a stubborn will to keep going person by person, century by bloody century. They built roads that still snake across continents, aqueducts that defy time, and concrete tougher than most modern mixes. Libraries, temples, amphitheatres. Rome's fingerprints are everywhere. They mapped stars, carved laws, and birthed ideas like republics and vetoes that echo in today's capitals. Latin's in your words, their arches in your city halls, their grit in every underdog story. While you were dodging carts and leeches, they were laying foundations for Europe and beyond, shaping 2,000 years of history. It wasn't pretty, or aching bones know that, but it worked. They endured not because they had a choice, but because Rome was built on their backs. You'd kill for a soft bed in a world without garum, and that's fine. You don't need to live their life, just see it. Somewhere a pleb like you walked these streets, survived the same filth, and helped build an empire that still whispers in your world. You drift off the city's pulse, fading grateful for your clean sheets and the Romans who made it mean something. Their story's done, but its shadow's long, and you're standing in it. You're standing on the windswept steppes of Central Asia, the 6th century BCE, stretching out like an endless sea of grass. The air's sharp with the scent of earth and horse sweat, and the horizon hums with the restless energy of a world untamed. This isn't Rome's stone jungle, you're in the land of the massage te, a nomadic tribe of horse archers who bow to no empire. At their heart stands Tamiris, a queen, whose name will echo through history like a battle cry. She's no myth, no soft ruler draped in silk. She's a warrior, her hands calloused from bowstrings, her eyes fierce as the hawks circling above. Tamiris leads with grit, not gold, uniting scattered clans under a banner of defiance. Her people live by the rhythm of hooves and the whistle of arrows, their tents rising and falling with the seasons. She's a mother, a commander, and a force that even the mightiest empire will learn to fear. Across the plains, whispers of a Persian king, Cyrus the Great carry like dust on the wind. He's conquered Babylon, Lydia, and half the known world, his hunger for power as vast as the steppe itself. Now his gaze turns to the massage te, and Tamiris knows trouble's coming. You feel the tension in the air like a bowstring pulled taut. This is her story, one of blood, vengeance, and a queen who'll carve her legend into the bones of history. The clash is coming, and it'll shake the world. The steppe's quiet, but it's the kind that makes your skin prickle like the calm before a storm. You're watching Cyrus the Great, king of the Persians, his shadow long across the ancient world. He's no ordinary ruler. He's a conqueror who's swallowed empires like a wolf takes prey. Babylon's walls fell to him. Lydia's gold filled his coffers, and now his eyes glint with a hunger that no crown can sate. The air's heavy with ambition, spiced with the dust of his armies marching north. His target, the massage te and their queen Tamiris, who dares to stand free on the untamed steppe. Cyrus isn't just after land, he wants to chain the spirit of a people who ride like the wind. He sends a message slick as oil proposing marriage to Tamiris. It's a conqueror's trick, a velvet glove over an iron fist offering alliance to mask his greed. You can almost hear his advisors chuckling, thinking a nomadic queen will bend to flattery or fear. But Tomyris isn't some soft courtier. She's a blade forged in hardship. The steppe whispers her strength, and Cyrus's offer smells like a trap to her. His armies gather their spears gleaming under the sun, and the ground trembles with the weight of his hubris. You know this won't end with words. Cyrus's ambition is a fire, but Tomyris is a storm, and the clash will burn into legend. You're with Tomyris now, her tent a fortress of hide and resolve under the vast steppe sky. The air's alive with the crackle of campfires and the low murmur of warriors sharpening blades. Cyrus's marriage proposal lies like a dead snake at her feet, a Persian ploy to claim her land without a fight. But Tomyris isn't fooled. Her laugh's as sharp as her axe. She sends his messengers back with a warning that cuts like winter wind come for her people, and you'll find no bride, only blood. The steppe itself seems to nod its grasses, hissing in agreement. She gathers her massagetae, their faces painted with ash, their bows strung tight. You see her son Sparapeses at her side, young but fierce, ready to ride against the Persian tide. Tomyris's defiance isn't just words, it's the heartbeat of a people who've never knelt. She knows Cyrus's army is vast, disciplined, a machine of conquest. But she's no stranger to war. She's ridden through storms and struck down raiders with her own hand. Her plan's simple: let Cyrus come, let him taste the steppe's teeth. You feel the ground pulse with her resolve, the air thick with the promise of vengeance. The Persians are marching, but Tomyris is waiting, and the steppe will be their grave. The first battle's brewing, and it'll break hearts and empires alike. The steppe stretches wide, a sea of grass trembling under the weight of war. You're with the massagetae, the air sharp with horse sweat and the twang of bowstrings. Tomyris's warning to Cyrus went unanswered, and now his Persian army looms like a storm cloud, their spears glinting under a merciless sun. He's cunning, though not charging blindly, but laying a trap. Cyrus orders a feigned retreat, leaving a camp stocked with wine and riches to lure the nomads. You feel the tension as Tomyris's son Sparapeses takes the bait, leading a band of warriors to strike. The Persians melt away, and the massagetae find barrels of wine tempting as a siren's song. They drink unaware it's a poison of cunning. The night hums with laughter, then chaos. Persian soldiers sweep back under moonlight, silent as wolves. The clash is brutal, swords, flashing arrows hissing. Sparapeses fights fiercely, but the wine's dulled his men, and the Persians cut them down. By dawn the grass is red, and Sparapeses is either dead or captured his fate, a knife in Tomyris's heart. You see her face when the news arrives, grief cracks her like lightning, but her eyes harden to steel. The steppe seems to wail with her, the wind carrying her son's name. Cyrus thinks he's won, but he's lit a fire. Tomyris's pain isn't weakness, it's the spark of a vengeance that'll burn his empire to ash. The next fight won't be a skirmish, it'll be a reckoning. You stand in Tomyris's camp, the steppe's silence heavy with her grief. The air's thick with the scent of ash and leather campfires flickering like the rage in her eyes. Her son Sparapeses is gone slain or shamed by Cyrus's trickery, and the wounds roar, a mother's heart bleeding into the earth. But Tomyris doesn't crumble, she sharpens. You hear her voice low and fierce as she rallies her warriors, their faces grim under war paint. She sends a message to Cyrus, no longer a warning, but a vow carved in fury. You thirst for blood, Persian. I'll drown you in it. The words cut like her axe, promising a vengeance that'll stain the steppe red. She's no longer just a queen. She's a storm brewing, her massagetae a tide of hooves and arrows. You see her pace the camp, planning her mind as sharp as the blades her warriors hone. The Persians are disciplined, their numbers vast, but Tomyris knows the steppe's secrets, its winds, its shadows. She'll fight on her terms, not Cyrus's. Her people chant her name, their loyalty, a fire that no empire can quench. The air crackles with purpose, the ground pulsing with the promise of battle. Cyrus took her son, her land's peace. Now he'll face a mother's wrath, a warrior's blade. You feel the steppe brace itself, knowing the final clash will be no mere fight, it'll be an execution. The sun rises over the steppe like a blade, slashing the dawn with fire. You're with Tomyris, her massagetae arrayed like a storm of flesh and steel. The air's alive with the thunder of hooves, the hiss of arrows, and the scent of blood already promised. Cyrus's Persian army stands ready, their armour gleaming, but they've misjudged the steppe's queen. Tomyris leads her warriors, face painted with ash, her presence a spark that sets the plains ablaze. This isn't politics anymore, it's vengeance raw and unyielding for her son, her people, her freedom. The battle erupts, a tide of knives and fury. Masashte cavalry sweep across the grass arrows raining like death's own hail. You see Tomyris in the fray, not commanding from afar, but fighting her axe, flashing her voice, a war cry that shatters Persian lines. Cyrus expected chaos, but the nomads strike with precision, their bows, singing their horses, dancing through the carnage. The Persians falter their discipline, crumbling under the steppes' wrath. Cyrus falls, whether by Tomyris' hand, or the chaos he's dead, his empire's heart pierced. Legend says she finds his body, severs his head, and dips it in a wineskin of blood, snarling, "Drink your fill." True or not, the act's a symbol, a queen's defiance etched in crimson. The dust settles the grass, drinking deep. Tomyris stands victorious, her vengeance complete, but the cost is heavy, her son's gone, her heart scarred. The steppe breathes with her, its winds carrying the echo of her triumph. Cyrus's empire reels, and a queen's legend is born. The story's not done, she'll ride into history next, leaving a mark no empire can erase. The steppe lies quiet now, its grasses stained with the blood of an empire. You stand with Tomyris, her silhouette sharp against the fading sun, her victory over Cyrus the Great, a wound on Persia's pride. The air's heavy with the scent of earth and sacrifice, the Massagetes' war cries, fading into whispers of awe. She's avenged her son, defended her people, and humbled a conqueror who thought the world was his to take. But Tomyris doesn't linger in triumph, she rides back into the horizon, her story slipping into the steppes' vast embrace. No palaces mark her reign, no golden statues bear her face. Her legacy lives in the wind, in the songs of warriors by firelight. Her victory sent shockwaves through the ancient world. Persia buried Cyrus with honour, but the stain of his defeat lingered, a reminder that even empires bleed. For the Massagetei, Tomyris' stand was more than revenge. It was a declaration of freedom, a refusal to bow. Across Central Asia, her name became folklore, a ghostly queen galloping through time. Medieval scribes painted her in armour, Renaissance artists crowned her with fury, and modern nations like Kazakhstan raise her as a mother of their pride. She's a symbol, now vengeance, defiance, a woman who forged power from grief. You feel the steppes pulse, knowing her story isn't tethered to stone, but carried by those who resist. Tomyris vanishes from records, but her shadow rides on fierce and unbroken. You're stepping back from the steppe, the echo of Tomyris' triumph still ringing in your ears. The air shifts, carrying the musty scent of ancient scrolls as you enter the world of Herodotus, the Greek who called himself history's father. Writing a century after Tomyris, he wove her tale into his histories, casting her as a warrior queen who toppled Cyrus the Great. His words paint her vivid, grieving, fierce, dipping, Cyrus's head in blood with a snarl to drink his fill. But you're left wondering how much is truth, how much a story spun for a Greek crowd, the steppes silent, offering no tablets or tombs to settle the debate. Herodotus wasn't just reporting, he was crafting a moral tale. To his audience, Tomyris was a paradox, a barbarian queen nobler than kings, humbling Persia's arrogance when it threatened Greece. The blood-soaked wineskin, maybe fact, maybe flair, but it burns bright in memory. Scholars argue over details, some say Cyrus fell to her, others doubt the drama, but most agree a Massagetei queen likely ended his reign. Herodotus saw her through a Greek lens, her nomad's wild, yet honourable a mirror to his ideals. Yet he gave her immortality, her name a blade that cuts through time. You feel the weight of her story, not in stone, but in the defiance it inspires. Tomyris lives where myths meet truth, a queen who refused to fade. You're standing in the sun-scorched Nile Valley 2400 BCE, where the air shimmers with heat and the hum of bees. Egypt's no mere land of pyramids, it's a hive of ingenuity and beekeeping. Here is a sacred art. The scent of lotus flowers and river mud mixes with the sweet tang of honey as beekeepers tend their clay tube hives stacked like terracotta pipes in neat rows. These aren't just homes for bees. They're portable wonders moved up and down the Nile to chase blooming flowers as the floodwaters recede. You feel the rhythm of the land, a dance of seasons and nectar that's as precise as a pharaoh's decree. Honey's no simple treat, it's divine born, they say, from the tears of Ra, the sun god. You see it offered in temples, smeared in sacred rites and sealed in jars for the dead's journey to the afterlife. Beekeepers bare-armed and fearless, puff smoke through clay pipes to calm the buzzing swarm, their hands steady as they pull honeycombs glistening like gold. This isn't just food, it's medicine, mixed with herbs for wounds, infections, or aching guts. It's magic, known long before science caught up. Beeswax lights lamps, seals tombs, and shapes scribes tablets. You touch a hive warm as the sun, and feel Egypt's pulse order reverence, and a bond with nature that hums through the ages. The Nile flows on, and so does this ancient craft. You've crossed to Mesopotamia, the cradle of cities, where the Tigris and Euphrates carve life into the dusty plain. It's 1754 BCE, and the air's thick with the scent of date palms and baked clay. Beekeeping here isn't Egypt's sacred dance. It's a business guarded by laws as sharp as a scribe's stylus. You're in a temple garden where mud brick hives hum with bees, their keepers tending Nin's bee gardens tied to royal estates. Honey's a treasure, sweetening offerings, healing wounds, and traded like gold. Beeswax seals, contracts, shapes ritual figurines, and carries the weight of a civilization that counts everything, even stings. The Code of Hammurabi looms over this craft, its cuneiform tablets spelling out justice. You hear a dispute, someone's bees swarmed a neighbour's field, ruining crops. The law's clear, pay up in silver or honey jars. Steal a hive, restitution's due, no questions asked. In a world of grain and goats, honey's worth its own rules, a nod to its value in temples and markets. Beekeepers work under the sun's glare, their woven basket hives shaded by palms, their hands steady despite the buzz. Bees aren't just insects, they're divine messengers linked to Ninurta, god of war and fields. You feel the order of this land, where even a bee's flight is woven into the fabric of law and survival. Mesopotamia's hives hum with purpose, a quiet song of structure and sweetness. You're high in Anatolia's rugged hills, 14th century BCE, where the Hittites carve their kingdom from stone and faith. The air's crisp, laced with pine and the faint buzz of bees, sacred agents in a world of gods and rituals. Beekeeping here isn't just farming, it's a bridge to the divine. You're at a temple enclosure, clay hives tucked under shade, their hum a prayer in itself. The scent of honey mixes with incense and priests chant as a beekeeper releases a bee in a purification rite, letting it carry away the god's wrath. Unlike sacrifices, the bee flies free, a rare mercy in a land of blood and altars. Honey's poured in, libations burned in offerings, and smeared to anoint kings, its sweetness a plea for divine favour. You watch a keeper reverent slide a honeycomb from a woven hive, the act as solemn as a vow. These bees aren't mere insects, they're messengers linking earth to sky. Hittite texts note their migrations, tying swarms to blooming meadows, a wisdom born of watching the world breathe. Hives, likely straw and mud, stand like small shrines, tended by those who serve both temple and land. You feel the weight of this ritual, the bees' tiny wings bearing sins and hopes alike. In Anatolia, the hive's hum is a sacred chord, binding gods, kings, and the earth in a dance older than empires. You're in ancient Greece, standing beneath olive groves where the air hums with bees and the scent of time. It's the 4th century BCE, and the Greeks don't just tend hives, they worship them as tiny city-states buzzing with divine order. You're watching a beekeeper, sun-browned and steady, slide a terracotta lid from a movable hive, a clever Greek invention that lets them harvest honey without wrecking the colony. Smoke curls from a clay bellows, calming the bees with a whiff of oregano. The scene as much science as poetry. The air's alive with their hum, a sound Greeks swear echoes the god's own thoughts. Honey's ambrosia here mixed with wine for gods, smeared on wounds for healing, and baked into cakes for festivals. Bees are sacred to Artemis and Demeter, their priestesses called Melissae. Bees themselves channels of wild, feminine power. You hear Aristotle's name whispered. He studied these hives, noting work as defenders and what he calls the king bee missing the queen, but laying tracks for science. The Greeks see hives as mirrors of their polis, disciplined, cooperative, perfect. Philosophers like Stoics admire the bee's duty, their lives a lesson in harmony. You touch a hive warm as a sunlit stone and feel Greece's pulse, curiosity, reverence, and a quest to decode nature's secrets. The bee's dance is a riddle, and Greece is listening. You've crossed into Rome's sprawling empire, where the air smells of vineyards and ambition. It's the 1st century CE, and beekeeping's no quaint hobby, it's a cog in Rome's machine feeding legions and lighting villas. You're on a sun-drenched estate where hives of clay cork and woven baskets buzz under the watchful eye of enslaved keepers. The scent of smouldering thyme wafts from clay pots, soothing bees, as iron knives slice honeycombs with surgical care. Romans don't just harvest. They scale at their hives as organised as their aqueducts stretching from Gaul to Hispania. Writers like Varro and Columella pen treatises detailing swarm cycles and pest control with a precision that would make a modern farmer nod. Honey sweetens mulsum, wine glazes meats, and soothes soldiers' wounds, its antibacterial kick known but unnamed. Beeswax seals ships, lights candles, and shapes tablets for scribes. You see ledgers tallying honey sales surplus shipped to markets as far as Egypt. To Romans, are hives a household ordered productive, a model of their empire's grit. You feel the hum of this vast system bees as citizens in Rome's endless grind. The keeper seals ajar, its honey gleaming like gold, and you know this craft's as vital as the roads carrying it. Rome's empire hums and bees keep its pulse. You're stepping beyond time, tracing the bee's flight through ancient hearts, from Egypt to Greece. The air's thick with incense and the sweet tang of honey, a scent that binds earth to sky. Bees aren't just insects here, they're divine couriers buzzing between mortal and god. In Egypt, they're born from Ra's tears, their honey offered in temples sealed in tombs to guide souls. You see a priest pour it golden as sunlight, a gift to please Osiris. The pharaoh's title, he of the sedge and bee, ties his rule to their cosmic hum, a nod to order older than stone. In Greece, bees are feminine power tied to Artemis and Demeter. Their priestesses, Melissae, are bees' incarnate oracles, like the Delphic Pythia once called the Delphic bee. You feel the hive's pulse, a model of the perfect city, selfless, disciplined, divine. Mesopotamia burns beeswax in rituals. Hittites send bees to carry sins away their wings, a bridge to purity. Honey heals, wax protects, and bees sting only to defend a miracle wrapped in myth. You stand by a hive, its hum a sacred whisper, and know why ancients saw gods in these wings. Bees don't just make honey, they carry the world's soul, a truth that echoes through temples and time. You're standing at the edge of time, the hum of ancient hives still ringing in your ears. From Egypt's sun-baked Nile to Rome's sprawling estates, beekeeping wove a thread through human survival, its scent of honey and wax lingering like a sacred promise. The air feels alive with the buzz of history, a song of ingenuity and reverence that shaped civilizations. Those clay tubes, woven baskets, and smoke-filled rituals weren't just craft, they were a pact with nature, sustaining life with sweetness and healing. You see the legacy in every jar of honey, every beeswax candle, a spark from millennia past. Ancient beekeepers gave us more than honey. Their hives birthed medicine, Egypt's salves, Greece's tonics, Rome's battlefield dressings rooted in honey's antibacterial magic. Their wax-sealed empire's secrets lit temples and shaped art. Migratory beekeeping, chasing blooms along rivers, echoes in today's pollinators feeding our crops. You feel the weight of their reverence, bees as divine, from Ra's tears to Artemis's priestesses, a symbol of order and defiance. Their tools and wisdom laid tracks for modern apiaries, their respect for nature, a lesson we're still learning. In a world wrestling with fading hives, their legacy hums a warning: guard the bees, or lose the soul of our fields. You close your eyes, the ancient buzz fading, grateful for a tiny creature that taught us to listen to the earth's heartbeat. Picture this. You're sprawled on a straw mat in a reed hut, the kind that sways slightly when the wind dares to stir. It's not even dawn, but the air's already thick, heavy with the promise of a day that'll cook you like a loaf in a clay oven. No curtains, no fans, just slivers of sunlight stabbing through the gaps in the walls, each one a reminder that Ra, the sun god, is not your friend today. You roll over your linen sheet, more like a whisper of Fabersic than a blanket clinging to your skin, with the stickiness of last night's sweat. The mat beneath you crunches a mix of straw and sand that's worked its way into every crevice of your world. You blink eyes gritty, and the heat's already pressing down like a divine hand saying, "Good luck, pal." Outside, the desert's waking up, and it's not gentle about it. The air smells of dust and distant Nile mud, maybe a faint whiff of yesterday's fish someone left too close to the fire. You'd kill for a glass of iced water, but that's a fantasy from a world with refrigerators and sanity. Here your best bet is a clay jar of lukewarm water, if the kids haven't knocked it over. You sit up, bones creaking like they're auditioning for a haunted house, and realise there's no snooze button in ancient Egypt. The sun's your alarm and it's screaming, "Get up or bake." Your tunic, a flimsy linen thing, hangs nearby, already dusted with sand, because privacy and cleanliness are myths. You pull it on, feeling it stick to your shoulders like a second less cooperative skin. No sunscreen, no shades, just you, and the ultraviolet wrath of a god who's clearly having a bad millennium. The wealthy might slather on oils, but you're stuck with the peasant special, a thin layer of desperation, and maybe some mud if you're feeling fancy. You step outside and the ground's already hot enough to make your feet reconsider their life choices. Shades a rumour, trees are a luxury, and the mud brick wall nearby is sweating more than you are. Ra's up there glaring his golden disc, a divine middle finger, to anyone hoping for mercy. In this world, heat isn't just weather, it's theology. A scorching day means Ra's feeling extra godly, and you're supposed to take it as a compliment. You squint wipe sweat from your brow and mutter a quick prayer, because complaining might just earn you a one-way ticket to divine disapproval. Surviving this morning's going to take grit, a jug of water, and a stubborn refusal to let the desert win. You take a deep breath, tasting dust, and shuffle toward the Nile, already dreaming of a breeze that hasn't existed since the Old Kingdom. You're trudging toward the Nile now, feet kicking up puffs of sand that cling to your shins like unwanted relatives. The river's close, and you can smell it before you see it, a ripe mix of fish mud and something you'd rather not identify. This is the mighty Nile, the sacred lifeline of Egypt, the reason your village isn't just a pile of bones in the desert. But let's not kid ourselves. It's also a swampy soup of flies, frogs, and the occasional ripple that might be a crocodile sizing you up. You reach the bank reeds, brushing your calves, and the waters are murky brown, glinting under Ra's relentless gaze. Clean. Sure, if you believe sharing bathwater with livestock and upstream sewage is a spa day. No soap, no loofah, just you and the river's gritty embrace. You wade in the coolness, a brief mercy until you remember what's floating nearby. Bathing's less about luxury and more about not smelling like a week-old fish market. You grab a handful of sand nature's finest exfoliant and scrub, feeling grains scrape your skin like a carpenter sanding a plank. It's not skincare, it's survival, and you're just hoping to dislodge the dust caked from yesterday's labour. The water swirls, carrying away dirt and probably a few of your dreams. You glance around, half expecting a hippo to surface or an ibis to strut by like it owns the place. Privacy. Forget it. Family's neighbours and a stray goat are all splashing nearby, turning the Nile into a communal bathtub. Laundry's next, and it's no less glamorous. You grab your tunic already stiff with sweat and sand and pound it against a rock, praying a crocodile doesn't mistake your thrashing for lunch. The water's cloudy now, bits of who knows what floating past, but this is as clean as it gets. You rinse, wring, and sling the damp fabric over your shoulder, feeling like you fought a small war and barely won. Water jars need filling too, so you dip a clay pot, balancing it on your head as you trudge back to your hut. The heat's climbing, turning the path into a skillet, and every step feels like a negotiation with the sun. The Nile's sacred. Sure, it feeds you, cleans you, keeps Egypt alive. But it's also a daily reminder that even miracles come with a side of leeches and a faint whiff of chaos. You're cleaner now, sort of, and that's enough to face the day's next grind. You're back at your mud brick hut, the Nile's damp, still clinging to your skin, but the heat's already drying you into a human raisin. Breakfast time, though. Don't expect a spread that'll make your taste buds sing. In ancient Egypt, the morning meal is less a culinary delight and more a gritty refueling pit stop. You squat in the corner of your hut, no fancy table, just a low stool if you're lucky, and the air's thick with the scent of dust and yesterday's fire. Flies buzz like they've been invited to the feast, and you're already swatting them with a hand that's seen better days. The centrepiece of this gourmet experience, a loaf of bread dense as a brick and about as forgiving. This isn't your fluffy supermarket loaf. It's emmer wheat or barley ground between stones that sneak in bits of sand for that extra crunch. You bite down and it's like chewing a sandal with ambitions coarse, chewy, and laced with enough grit to make your teeth protest. The locals call it a feature, not a flaw. Those tiny stones are your daily dose of minerals whether you like it or not. Beside the bread sits a clay cup of beer, but don't picture a frosty pint. This is ancient Egyptian beer, thick as porridge, cloudy as the Nile, and tasting like sour cereal left out too long. It's more liquid bread than beverage packed with calories to keep you upright until noon. Even the kids sip it, not for fun, but because it's safer than the river water you just waded through. The brewing kills the worst of the parasites. which is more than you can say for the Nile's petri dish vibes. If you're lucky, really lucky, you might score a shriveled onion or a couple of dried dates to jazz things up. Protein. That's a rare guest, maybe a sliver of fish if someone's feeling generous and didn't scarf it raw by the river. You chew the bread, fighting back while flies dive-bomb your meal like it's their last chance at glory. One hand holds the cup, the other fends off the insect invasion, and you try not to dwell on the fact that this is the culinary highlight of your day. It's not about flavour, it's about function, shoving just enough energy into your body to face the sun's wrath and the work ahead. You swallow the last gritty bite, wash it down with a gulp of beer that's more sludge than refreshment, and stand up already feeling the weight of the day. Bon appetit or whatever passes for it when survival's the only thing on the menu. The sun's climbing, now turning the world into a furnace, and you're already out the door, your breakfast of bread and beer sitting like a stone in your gut. Work in ancient Egypt isn't a job, it's a full-body surrender to survival, and unless you're a scribe or a priest with a cushy temple gig, you're in for a day that makes modern burnout look like a vacation. You're no pharaoh, so it's muscle and dust for you, the kind of labour that grinds your bones and paints your skin with Nile mud. The air's heavy smelling of sweat and sun-baked earth, and every step kicks up sand that's determined to be your lifelong companion. If you're a farmer, you're ankle-deep in the Nile's sticky black mud by sunrise yanking weeds or planting barley with tools that haven't changed since your great-grandpa's time. Wooden ploughs, crude sickles, and your own calloused hands are all you've got, and the overseer's barking orders like he's personally offended by your existence. Your back's screaming, but that's just proof it's still attached. If you're a labourer, it's even worse. Picture hauling multi-ton limestone blocks for some temple or tomb barefoot, on gravel ramps that feel like they're mocking your pain. The sun's not just shining, it's waging war, and your linen tunic's about as useful as a paper towel in a sandstorm. Trip on a stone and it's a broken ankle and a foreman who'll shrug like it's your fault for having bones. Women don't get a pass either. If you're one, you're grinding grain by hand, hauling water from the Nile, weaving linen, or chasing kids while still pitching in at the fields. Your break's a myth, maybe 7 minutes when the baby naps and you're eating on the go, wiping sweat with a tunic that's more dust than fabric. No matter your role, there's no clocking out. The sun's your boss and it doesn't negotiate. You keep moving because slowing down means falling behind, and falling behind means your family's grain quota goes to someone else. By the time Ra's golden disk dips toward the horizon, you're half dead, caked in dust, and dreaming of sandals that don't feel like torture devices. You crawl home, the Nile's silhouette mocking you with its coolness, and collapse onto your straw mat, knowing tomorrow's just another round of the same relentless grind. Work here isn't hard, it's eternal, and you're just stubborn enough to keep showing up. You're trudging back from the fields, your muscles screaming and your tunic plastered with sweat and Nile mud when a shadow falls over the village. Not a cloud, those are as rare as a cool day, but the weight of something bigger the pharaoh's presence, even if he's miles away. In ancient Egypt, the pharaoh isn't just a king or some guy with a fancy hat. He's a living god, the son of Ra, the human thread stitching the cosmos together. His name's on every temple wall, his face carved into statues so big they make your neck ache just looking up. You're bone-tired, but even thinking about grumbling feels like poking a cobra. Complaining isn't just bad manners here, it's flirting with treason. See the pharaoh's more than a ruler. He's the glue holding Ma'at, the divine order in place. If the Nile floods just right, crops grow, and your belly's full, that's him working his godly magic. If the river fails, well, maybe you didn't pray hard enough, or someone forgot to offer the gods their beer. Either way, questioning him is like spitting in the face of the universe itself. You've seen his image everywhere, on coins, bread moulds, even the pots you lug water in. His murals tower over everyone else's, not because the artists were feeling extra, but because that's the law. Speak ill of him, and you're risking a whip's lash, a stint in shackles, or a one-way trip to the underworld with no burial goods to smooth the way. You keep your mouth shut because the gods are always listening, and they don't take kindly to sass. You'll never see him, not really. If you're lucky, you might catch a glimpse of his golden barge during a festival gliding down the Nile like a slice of the sun itself. Blink, and he's gone back to a palace dripping with gold and guarded by scribes who'd rather die than let you near. If you're slaving away on a royal tomb or temple, you're told to carve those stones with divine joy, and you nod because the alternative's a lot less joyful. Rebellion. Don't even whisper the word. The last village that tried dodging taxes vanished faster than a sandstorm's mercy. So you bow your head, mutter thanks to Horus for the pharaoh's eternal wisdom, and keep hauling your buckets. He's divine untouchable, and you're just a speck of dust lucky to sweat in his name. The sun's still burning and you've got work to do, God King or not. You're barely upright, dragging your feet through the village when a hot gust sweeps in, and suddenly your face is a canvas for nature's worst art project. Sand. It's everywhere in ancient Egypt, your uninvited roommate, your co-worker, your seasoning and your personal nemesis. No matter where you go,